You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
Right now on CBS News Bay Area, tensions rise in the Middle East. A massive attack launched by the U.S. and Israel kills Iran's supreme leader. Now Iran says they are vowing to fight back. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kelsey Thorid. We are learning that the U.S. military has confirmed at least 3 troops have been killed. The U.S. and Israel continue their airstrikes in Iran for a second day. At the same time, the Iranian government is vowing to retaliate further following the death of their supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, in an airstrike on Saturday. More explosions rocked Iran today, with the Israeli military saying it was targeting the heart of the city. This is footage posted by the Iran Red Crescent Society. The blasts appear to be centered in a neighborhood that is home to the country's police headquarters and state television. Reuters quotes an Israeli source as saying there is no change in military strategy. Protesters in Pakistan stormed the U.S. consulate in Karachi today, and at least 9 people were killed in clashes with police. At least 50 are hurt, with some now in critical condition, according to a local hospital. The protesters reportedly were Shiite Muslims who support the Iranian regime. Hundreds broke through security barricades, smashed windows, and torched a nearby police post. Authorities in Pakistan say they now have the situation under control and have stepped up security at U.S. diplomatic posts across the country. Iran's military struck back with missiles in retaliation against recent strikes. Israeli health officials say at least 8 people were killed in a strike in a neighborhood near Jerusalem. Nearly 30 people have been injured. Israeli military says they have intercepted most Iranian missiles, but are warning people not all are guaranteed to be stopped. Iran's retaliatory strikes are widening across the Gulf region, hitting Dubai in the UAE, Qatar, and now Oman for the first time. Iranian missiles and drones are hitting the region for a second straight day. In Dubai, strikes damaged the international airport and 2 upscale hotels. Also in Dubai, debris set fire to a berth at one of the world's busiest ports. 1 person died and at least 11 suffered injuries at airports in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. In Oman, 2 drones hit a commercial port, wounding 1 worker there. More now from reporter Christian Benavides.
The U.S. and Israel launched more strikes today on Iran after taking out the country's supreme leader, dictator Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, and many of Iran's senior leaders. On Saturday, U.S. Central Command released video showing cruise missiles firing from an American warship and fighter jets taking off.
And this is all a precursor for follow-on strikes over the next, I would suggest, probably 2 weeks, where we go after the other targets that didn't need the surprise that the targeting of the Iranian leadership did.
Overnight, a cloud of smoke could be seen rising in Tehran, while this was the scene in Tel Aviv after a missile strike. On Sunday, tear gas was fired as protesters gathered outside the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, and several protesters were killed outside a U.S. consulate in Pakistan. There were also celebrations around the world, including in Los Angeles, the largest diaspora of Iranians in the U.S.
Every single people in Iran knew that the only way that this regime is going to go away is that to attack them.
And across the U.S., anti-war protests. Hundreds marched near the White House and in New York City.
We organized today because ultimately we recognize that the American people are overwhelmingly against these foreign acts of aggression.
President Trump warned Iran against more retaliatory strikes, writing, "We will hit them with a force that has never been seen before."
In Tehran, angry Iranians poured into the streets to mourn the death of the supreme leader. Crowds gathered in Revolution Square even as the U.S. and Israeli assault continued elsewhere in Tehran. The number of people showing support for the regime reportedly numbered in the tens of thousands, although there is no precise estimate. Many chanted slogans like "Death to America" and "Death to Israel." Meantime, there is mixed reaction playing out here in the Bay Area. Some local Iranian Americans say they hope the military operation will lead to regime change. Da Lin was in Walnut Creek with their reaction.
They sing, dance, and celebrate the airstrikes. Yet these Iranian Americans understand the price of war because they once lived through, witnessed, and escaped from one.
I'm excited, nervous, anxious.
Nobody wants a war. But for Sahar Yakhma, she's come to believe a violent intervention is what Iran needs after previous failed uprisings.
We're getting news that people are out there partying in the streets. I mean, I saw bombs flying and people dancing on the streets. And so this is us celebrating with them, and for the people who gave their lives.
Sahar was born in Iran and fled as a child. She always dreamed of going back when it's safe and it's a free country.
I want to take my children. They've never been, so I want them to see, their homeland or their mom's homeland. And I can't wait.
Many Iranian Americans don't see the airstrikes as an attack on the Iranian people. They see them as liberation, their best chance at permanent regime change.
Nobody wants their own country to be attacked. But a lot of people do not see this as invasion, as war, or as an attack. They see this as rescue. This is a rescue mission.
Dozens of Iranian Americans celebrated at downtown Walnut Creek Civic Park on Saturday afternoon.
I feel free from the prison that I've been since I was born, and I feel like people of Iran have been in this prison for 47 years.
The supreme leader is gone, and that we are very, very close to freedom of Iran. We want to have a secular democracy country.
While many Americans sympathize with Iranians, they also don't want the U.S. to act as the world's police or engage in another conflict.
People are really rallying today to say, stop the endless wars, no war in Iran.
Anti-war protesters rallied across the Bay Area, saying instead of spending millions of dollars on bombs, they want the U.S. to invest that money in education and feed the poor here at home.
Not another dickhole, not another dime.
We're seeing the U.S. really have its way and follow through on their imperialist schemes and throw our world into chaos.
But Sahar says freedom is never free, and sometimes it takes fire to fight fire.
Until you actually live in one of these dictatorship countries, you can't understand it. Americans are very privileged. They don't understand that sometimes war is necessary. It's a necessary evil because you can't reason with terrorists.
Iranian Americans will have a big rally and celebration in front of San Francisco's Ferry Building at noon on Sunday. They say only time will tell if this will lead to the regime change they waited decades for.
Congress is divided over this attack as well. Republicans are mostly in favor of it, while Democrats say Congress should have been consulted. John Ramos has reaction from California's political leaders.
U.S. warplanes delivered a lethal message to Iran from President Trump about their unwillingness to drop their nuclear arms program. But along with it, he also expressed a message to the Iranian people about overthrowing the current regime.
The hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations.
But for generations in this country, there has been a debate about how much power one man should have to conduct war. South Bay Congressman Sam Liccardo says Congress was never notified about the president's plan to attack.
This president has a moral and constitutional obligation to tell the American people what is the objective of this war. And he has failed to really explain that in a meaningful way that really jives with what we know about history in efforts to enact regime change.
There have certainly been times in this nation's history when presidents sought power to make unilateral military decisions. That persisted until Vietnam, when Congress enacted the War Powers Act, requiring the president to get approval before conducting extensive military operations.
This is a president who ran on a pledge to avoid forever wars, to not engage in reckless military interventions abroad, And we are seeing engagements, invasions of Venezuela, of Iran, threatened invasions of allies like Denmark and Greenland. This is completely out of control.
But in San Rafael, Colonel Brendan Kearney disagrees. He retired from the Marine Corps after serving as Chief of Staff in Europe. He says President Trump may be bombastic at times, but at least he does what he says he will do. And that is important in dealing with adversaries around the world.
I spent half my career around the world, most of it in Asia. And quite frankly, I would rather be feared and respected than loved.
Do you see fear and respect as the same thing?
Yes, I do. I do. I'd rather if they fear us and they respect us and we don't have to do these type of things, then we're successful.
But is it legal under the Constitution? Professor Matt Coles says it may not be.
So the Constitution says that the president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, which means he gets to direct the armed forces when the United States is deploying them. But it gives to Congress the power to declare war. And he's calling it a war. And under those circumstances, I think he pretty clearly needs authorization from Congress, and he doesn't have it yet.
But here's where things get pretty murky. The Supreme Court has traditionally bowed out of the issue of military power, leaving the Congress and the president to fight it out, usually in the court of public opinion, to decide who will hold the power.
I think Americans are not used to thinking of it this way, but constitutional law gets made by us as well as by the Supreme Court.
That may sound strange, but it appears the Constitution's only real power lies in the willingness of the public to enforce it.
No piece of paper will ever protect your liberty if the people don't care about it and the people they elect don't care about it.
Stay with us for continuing coverage on this conflict in the Middle East. We'll bring you the latest developments on air on our website, kpix.com, and streaming on the free CBS News app. Now let's get a check on our first alert forecast with meteorologist Zoe Mintz.
We're looking at another lovely day, but about 10 degrees cooler compared to yesterday. But still nice, still seasonable for this time of year. 10 degrees cooler than yesterday is back to normal. It was just really warm out there yesterday, and there is going to be a lot of cloud coverage sticking around throughout the morning and early afternoon, especially along our coastal communities. Inland areas, especially bay areas by the bay, maybe or towards Oakland, you could potentially still see a little finger of fog making its way through the Golden Gate across the afternoon hours, but it's not going to be a completely foggy day unless you live directly along the coast, where those temperatures are going to be sitting in the low 60s, about 10 degrees cooler than yesterday when you were in the 70s. Inland areas, that's where the mid to upper 60s will be a little bit more warm weather, but compared to the mid to upper 70s that you felt yesterday, again, about 10 degrees cooler all across the Bay Area. There is the chance, the potential for an isolated light rain shower. Honestly, I would call it a few raindrops more than a rain shower late tonight and into early tomorrow morning. This is going to be maybe wetting the roadways, but definitely not enough rain to create ponding on the roadways. So keep that in mind waking up early tomorrow morning. You might have to give yourself an extra minute or two, but honestly, it's definitely not going to be a rainy day on Monday. A raindrop or two is possible, maybe 1/100 of an inch of accumulation. Again, it's not going to be an impressive rain system. It's going to keep our temperatures cool, seasonable for this time of year, sitting back into the mid 60s across most of the Bay Area. Low 60s directly along the coast, upper 60s farther inland where there will be, again, more sunshine. This is going to be kind of that more typical summertime pattern with a bit more fog along the coast throughout the day and then a bit more sunshine inland. That will stick around through the midweek before the potential for even more rain heads our way by Wednesday, and then a big heat up on the way by the late week and into the weekend, even for our coastal communities. So yes, there is more warm weather on the way. If you love the 70s, I promise you, just gotta wait a couple days. Today, again, you might be seeing a few isolated raindrops throughout the overnight hours and into Monday, but again, not going to be a whole lot of accumulation, not going to be like what we saw with those storm systems last week and the week before that. The winds, like I said, will probably be a bigger issue Tuesday afternoon, maybe gust up to 25 miles an hour. Wednesday and Thursday, I think that's when we should be seeing those 35-mile-an-hour gusts. So that's what I would be keeping an eye on, securing any loose outdoor objects. But I don't see a wind advisory in effect right now. That's something we'll keep a very close eye on. Rain chances continue to dwindle down through the end of the weekend and into early next week. And then again, as those temperatures warm up, little to no chances for rain. Look at this. We could potentially be getting near our first 80-degree day of the year in San Jose by next weekend. And it looks like those well above average temperatures are likely going to be sticking around throughout the long range. Long-range forecasts are definitely pointing at likely above average temperatures. So this could potentially have been our last big push of cold weather over the past couple of weeks. Who knows? We might see the end of our winter season and a beginning of spring with definitely more 70s in our future over the next couple of weeks.
Still ahead on CBS News Bay Area, bird flu is spreading among elephant seals in the Bay Area. What scientists are learning about the scope of the outbreak. Plus, a new arc on San Francisco's waterfront lets you step inside the waves. We'll take you to the Embarcadero art piece that changes with the light and changes how you see the bay.
Definitely feeling a cool down today for the first official day of spring. Happy March, everybody. And it's feeling like spring. It's seasonable out there. It's definitely not the 70s like what we felt yesterday. Honestly, that was more of a sneak peek of summer than it was spring. We're going to stay spring-like, seasonable in the mid to lower 60s through Wednesday. It might be a little bit breezy on Wednesday, too, gusting upwards of 25 to 35 miles an hour. Those winds sticking around Thursday before those temperatures really begin to warm up, returning to the 70s by late next week and into next weekend. So get ready for another warm up, but enjoy the seasonable conditions while you can, along with an isolated raindrop or two overnight and into early tomorrow.
The San Jose Police Department is trying to pull back on its touted license plate readers. There are more than 400 flock cameras around the city. But Police Chief Paul Joseph is now requesting that the data gathered is only kept for 30 days instead of a year. Ban the cameras from recording cars leaving places of worship or certain medical facilities and tighten access to the data collected. The San Jose City Council is set to consider the changes on March 10th. Chief Joseph's request comes amid backlash over unauthorized agencies gaining access to Flock's data. This week, Mountain View voted to end its contract with the company, while Santa Clara County voted to prohibit the sheriff's office from accessing data in the cities of Cupertino and Saratoga. Now to an incredible fire rescue that was all caught on a body camera. It shows Milpitas officers running up to the building that was up in flames. They got there before the fire department and found a family, including a 3-year-old girl and a dog, trapped on a second-story balcony. Take a look at what happened next.
Where's the baby? Where's the baby? Throw her. I got her. Drop her. How many other people? Get out. You have to jump.
You see there, the family dropped the toddler and the dog into the officer's arms below. The fire department arrived just then and got everyone else down safely. This happened last Sunday on South Park Victorian Drive. The department put out that video yesterday. San Francisco leaders have passed a new rule aimed to protect immigrant communities. In a unanimous vote, the Board of Supervisors have approved legislation to prevent federal immigration enforcement operations on city property. It also lets the city attorney take legal action against those who try to break the rule. The city of San Francisco is already a sanctuary city, but it does not keep federal agents like ICE from coming into the city and detaining people. The Transamerica Pyramid is changing hands again. The landmark San Francisco skyscraper will be sold for the second time in 6 years. Bloomberg reports that the pyramid is being sold to Yoda PLC, an investment firm from Cyprus. This comes 6 years after the building was bought by a German pension fund. Recently, the landmark underwent a major renovation led by developer Michael Schvo. In a statement to us, Schvo said he was proud of the work he did at the Transamerica Pyramid and is confident the next owner will continue its legacy. Well, the biggest fear is coming true for scientists who study and care for elephant seals. Avian flu is killing off pups along the San Mateo County coast. It's the first outbreak confirmed among elephant seals in the state. It's happening around Año Nuevo State Park, right off Highway 1, south of Pescadero. Researchers tested the elephant seals there for mating season and found bird flu is spreading. Our Brian Hackney looks at the wider implications.
News that scientists described as devastating arrived on the shores of Año Nuevo a week ago.
Specifically, we have new data that just came in last night that 7 of weaned elephant seal pups at Año Nuevo State Park tested positive.
Positive for HPAI, highly pathogenic avian influenza. That means the worst news that could affect the northern elephant seal population is now confirmed. That the avian flu virus, which stunned scientists when it spread to dairy cows 3 years ago, is now in the northern hemisphere's elephant seal population.
Of immediate concern to them was that the 6 seals were showing signs of respiratory and neurologic disease, and the neurologic disease included signs such as weakness and tremors.
The same signs that decimated 95% of the southern elephant seal population off Argentina. So much so that it will take decades for that population to recover if they ever do. We spoke to the veterinarian in charge of that southern elephant seal pup study. 17,000 of them dead within weeks. That's the finding of Dr. Ralph Van Streels and his colleagues at UC Davis.
You know, Ralph, I don't want to overdo this, but to me, those numbers are shocking.
It is, absolutely. I've been working with mass mortalities of wildlife for over a decade now, and I have never seen anything like this, and I have never read of anything this severe.
Now the question, will the virus spread like wildfire through the elephant seal population on California shores, the way it did in Argentina?
These seals, the elephant seals in particular, do seem to be very affected with some very concerning signs that mean that they're likely to be highly susceptible to this infection.
30 dead pups are now being tested to see if some or all died of what might be a mutation of the avian flu virus.
Out of an abundance of caution, Año Nuevo State Park is canceling guided elephant seal tours for the remainder of the season. Full refunds are being issued through Reserve California. Still ahead, we'll introduce you to the artist responsible for this first of its kind work in San Francisco.
Mareas is a reminder bringing the body back to a relationship with water and connecting us more with the ocean.
How she created a piece that changes throughout the day.
You know that feeling when you pull into town and you feel like you're home?
Happy Sunday. Also, happy first day of March, first day of meteorological spring. It definitely doesn't feel more like spring today than it did yesterday by any means. In fact, it kind of feels more like summer with the fog intact, especially closer to our coastal communities. A bird came by to say hello early this morning, and I also have to show you all what we missed, or at least what most of us missed. The beautiful sunrise. It was gorgeous. This was on top of Black Mountain, where inland areas didn't deal with nearly as much fog compared to the coastal communities early this morning. And that's kind of going to be the name of the game. Coastal communities going to be seeing a lot more fog today compared to inland areas, as there's a storm system that's currently brewing well off to our north. You can see that line of atmospheric river moisture extending all the way to the central Pacific. But that's not really going to be heading our way. As you can tell, most of the moisture is sitting in Northern California and up across the Pacific Northwest. And unfortunately, if we take a look at the future, not really going to be seeing most of it heading our way. As that storm system develops, it swirls, it pushes inland, and an isolated shower or raindrop or two is possible overnight tonight and into early tomorrow. But we're going to miss out on the bulk of the moisture. Then it'll be drying out by Tuesday. And then Wednesday, another chance for a few isolated raindrops. But again, it is not going to be a rainy week of weather ahead of us. It might be windy once this storm system passes and then warming right back up. I'll write down all the details that you need to know about this upcoming week of weather coming up in my full forecast.
If you think you've noticed more pieces of public art along the Embarcadero in San Francisco, you'd be correct. There is a new permanent piece at Pier 27, the cruise terminal, that is a first of its kind in the city. Our Max Darrow spoke with the SF Arts Commission on the purpose behind this push.
Just like the tide, people come and go along the Embarcadero. And when they stop here at Pier 27, even just for a moment.
Oh, it's like...
Ana Teresa Fernandez created this work of public art.
It's titled Mareas, and Mareas means tides in Spanish.
It's the first permanent archway to go up along the waterfront. It's a wave. It's minimal, yet technically complex and full of intention. Like the tide, Moraes changes as the day comes and goes.
And it really changes from when the sun is higher up directly and it's the straight line that almost creates this perfect circle, and then it starts to move as you see right now, and it starts to become elongated and the colors of blue fades.
That's because of the special material it's made from called Coda X.
So it allows for the environment to speak with the art.
Moraes will have a permanent home on the Embarcadero, the latest piece of public art that has gone up along the waterfront.
There is beauty and wonder in the world around us.
Ralph Remington is the Director of Cultural Affairs for the San Francisco Art Commission.
Under this administration, San Francisco is really trying to really expand in a robust manner as far as spectacle and public art installations. It also was the case in our last administration. Life is so short, sometimes we forget that the beauty that surrounds us is so important as well.
Jump!
With each interaction, each connection with Moraes, Fernandez hopes people will take a moment to reflect, play, or see a new perspective.
Moraes is a reminder bringing the body back to a relationship with water and connecting us more with the ocean by placing us in a different perspective that people don't often get to have, which is from underneath.
Her creation, based upon her connection, will complement the city's waterfront for years to come.
Coming up in our next half hour on CBS News Bay Area, a Peninsula school district is looking to the skies to solve their budget crisis. How they hope these solar canopies could get them on track.
You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
Thanks for staying with us. I'm Kelsey Thorud. Here's another look at our news headlines. In the Middle East, the U.S. and Israel are continuing their airstrikes in Iran. The U.S. military has confirmed at least 3 U.S. service members have been killed. The Iranian government is vowing revenge after the death of their supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, in an airstrike on Saturday. This is footage posted by the Iran Red Crescent Society. Reuters quotes an Israeli source saying there is no change in military strategy. In San Francisco, a 2-year-old is dead after being hit by a car last night while crossing the street. The crash happened on 4th and Channel Streets just before 9 p.m. last night. Police say the driver stayed on the scene and is cooperating with the investigation. Health officials in Santa Clara County have their first measles case of the year. They say the person may have exposed others while dining out earlier this week at the Panda Express in Burlingame on Monday and Tuesday. They had just returned from an international trip, and that person had been vaccinated. Those most at risk are the unvaccinated and those with compromised immune systems. Now, let's get another check on our first alert forecast with meteorologist Zoe Mintz.
We're looking at another lovely day, but about 10 degrees cooler compared to yesterday. But still nice, still seasonable for this time of year. 10 degrees cooler than yesterday is back to normal. It was just really warm out there yesterday, and there is going to be a lot of cloud coverage sticking around throughout the morning and early afternoon, especially along our coastal communities. Inland areas, especially bay areas by the bay, maybe or towards Oakland, you could potentially still see a little finger of fog making its way through the Golden Gate across the afternoon hours, but it's not going to be a completely foggy day unless you live directly along the coast, where those temperatures are going to be sitting in the low 60s, about 10 degrees cooler than yesterday when you were in the 70s. Inland areas, that's where the mid to upper 60s will be a little bit more warm weather, but compared to the mid to upper 70s that you felt yesterday, again, about 10 degrees cooler all across the Bay Area. There is the chance, the potential for an isolated light rain shower. Honestly, I would call it a few raindrops more than a rain shower late tonight and into early tomorrow morning. This is going to be maybe wetting the roadways, but definitely not enough rain to create ponding on the roadways. So keep that in mind waking up early tomorrow morning. You might have to give yourself an extra minute or two, but honestly, it's definitely not going to be a rainy day on Monday. A raindrop or two is possible, maybe 1/100 of an inch of accumulation. Again, it's not going to be an impressive rain system. It's going to keep our temperatures cool, seasonable for this time of year, sitting back into the mid 60s across most of the Bay Area. Low 60s directly along the coast, upper 60s farther inland where there will be, again, more sunshine. This is going to be kind of that more typical summertime pattern with a bit more fog along the coast throughout the day and then a bit more sunshine inland. That will stick around through the midweek before the potential for even more rain heads our way by Wednesday, and then a big heat up on the way by the late week and into the weekend, even for our coastal communities. So yes, there is more warm weather on the way. If you love the 70s, I promise you, just gotta wait a couple days. Today, again, you might be seeing a few isolated raindrops throughout the overnight hours and into Monday, but again, not going to be a whole lot of accumulation, not going to be like what we saw with those storm systems last week and the week before that. The winds, like I said, will probably be a bigger issue Tuesday afternoon, maybe gust up to 25 miles an hour. Wednesday and Thursday, I think that's when we should be seeing those 35-mile-an-hour gusts. So that's what I would be keeping an eye on, securing any loose outdoor objects. But I don't see a wind advisory in effect right now. That's something we'll keep a very close eye on. Rain chances continue to dwindle down through the end of the weekend and into early next week. And then again, as those temperatures warm up, little to no chances for rain. Look at this. We could potentially be getting near our first 80-degree day of the year in San Jose by next weekend. And it looks like those well above average temperatures are likely going to be sticking around throughout the long range. Long-range forecasts are definitely pointing at likely above average temperatures. So this could potentially have been our last big push of cold weather over the past couple of weeks. Who knows? We might see the end of our winter season and a beginning of spring with definitely more 70s in our future over the next couple of weeks.
eBay is laying off about 800 workers. That's roughly 6% of its global workforce. The San Jose-based company said in a statement Thursday that the cuts are meant to better align its staff with strategic priorities, but added it will keep hiring in key growth areas. You could say the Redwood City School District is looking to the skies to help deal with a $5 million budget deficit. The district is investing in these so-called solar canopies to cut down on energy costs. The district believes it could save them tens of millions of dollars going forward. Suji Nam talked to a parent who hopes the solar investment could keep important school programs alive.
Oh, I see it.
Brandon Matthews and his daughter Jessamine are enjoying the fruits, or rather the vegetables, of their labor.
Classes come out and they can plant things in the garden, or they can harvest and eat things from the garden.
But funding for programs like these in the Redwood City School District could be in jeopardy, as the district is facing a more than $5 million budget shortfall for the next academic year.
It provides shade.
Matthews is talking about these solar canopies. As one solution to cutting costs, the district installed canopies at 4 campuses in Phase 1 and are installing them across 9 more schools under Phase 2.
It frees up that money to do things like pay teachers and hire educational assistants.
We're here at Taft Elementary School.
David Willard, the energy consultant for the school district, says with rising utility costs, the clean energy generated on site will save them millions of dollars.
We are projecting approximately $26 million in savings for the district over 25 years. That's the estimated life of the system. In the first 5 years, we've already saved $875,000.
He adds that each campus will use 80 to 90% of the energy generated through these canopies, which are also installed in parking lots.
Doing the right thing for the environment and saving money for public schools and for the community.
Íbamos a hablar en español porque estás en la escuela ahora, ¿no?
Matthews, who sends his daughter to a Spanish immersion school, hopes to see the positive impact both environmentally and financially.
Every cent helps, and by having being able to defray some of the costs from rising energy costs is going to be key to being able to continue to fund things like this. So good. I planted that toilet.
So that his daughter can continue to excel in the Redwood City School District.
The district says Phase 2 of the solar installation should be complete by mid-July. And to help with the budget deficit, the district's Board of Trustees is also considering a parcel tax measure for the June ballot. In today's Project Earth, 4 years ago, an East Bay native started a 240-mile trek, all to bring attention to water. Now her journey continues in local classrooms. As Ann Makovic explains, the students are soaking it up.
There you go. Hurrah!
Meet Nina Gordon-Kirsch.
4 years ago, the 12th grade teacher spent about a month walking 240 miles. She carried a sign that asked,
"Where does your water come from?" And then on the back side, it has information about my journey. I'm walking from the Bay Area through the Delta to the Central Valley to the foothills of the Sierra up to Highland Lakes.
Nina's journey ended in the Sierra Nevada at Highland Lakes, the headwaters for the McCullummy River, the East Bay's primary source of drinking water. The trek was to show students about the source of their water and to encourage conservation.
Maybe just when they turn the tap on, they have a picture of Highland Lakes or of the McCullummy River, and they can piece together where their water comes from and have a sense of belonging.
You said a whale. Now that sense of belonging has come back to the Bay Area. In this case, the 9th grade science class at Coliseum College Prep Academy in Oakland.
So they're learning about Oakland water. They're not learning about like how water systems work in, in Asia or Europe or like world water systems. They're learning specifically about water systems like where they live.
It was my dream when I was doing the walk 4 years ago to talk to Bay Area students about where their water comes from, and now it's actually happening.
Thanks to funding from Alameda County's Clean Water Program and East Bay Mud, Nina is partnering with Rivers for Change, a local nonprofit seeking to change the way people think about water.
The earlier, the better, right? That you can connect people to their water, to their river systems, understand holistically how they're connected to a larger ecosystem and how they're connected to each other as communities.
The students learn about how their water travels from the Sierra Nevada through reservoirs, pipes, and aqueducts to finally end up in their homes. They also learn about pollution. Nina used a special model of a town where students simulated a rainstorm with spray bottles. The model shows how stormwater washes everyday pollutants from the roads to the farms into the town's rivers and streams. Students Mohammed Mohsen and Edson Barbosa soaked it all in.
Like yesterday when I went home and washed the dishes, I didn't really use as much water because I'm like, wow. I don't want to waste it anymore.
As a person living in the Bay, I want to know where my water comes from, and I want to make sure that it's clean, and so that I don't get sick.
As for Nina, 4 years ago, her journey might have ended at Highland Lakes, but her lessons are only just beginning.
If more humans had relationship with where their water comes from and where it goes, they'll care more about water.
One step at a time for every single drop.
For more information on how local teachers can add the program to their classrooms, you can go to kpix.com. Coming up, how some grassroots warriors are changing lives in the East Bay, one meal at a time.
Where I used to live underneath the bridge in Solano, we go out there and feed the people now.
Never give up, baby.
This right here is an atmospheric river. It's a narrow corridor of concentrated water vapor stretching thousands of miles from the tropics all the way to the West Coast. And here in the Bay Area, we're no strangers to their intensity. One atmospheric river alone can carry as much water as 25 Mississippi rivers, sending it all the way to the Gulf Coast. So strong winds steer that moisture towards California. But the real impact begins when it reaches land. When that air hits our coastal communities, for example, the Santa Cruz Mountains or the Marin Headlands, it's forced upwards, and all that air starts to cool, and then suddenly that water vapor turns into heavy rain here in the Bay. Now, in the 2023-2024 season, just within 6 months alone, our coastal communities, anywhere from Seattle all the way down into San Diego, received over 51 atmospheric rivers. To better understand atmospheric rivers, you have to go to them. And the only way to do that is to climb on board this specialized plane. I flew along with the NOAA Hurricane Hunters, and today's mission, Atmospheric River Recon.
Additional aircraft on guard. NOAA 49 will be dropping a weather instrument.
Most people know the Hurricane Hunters for flying into extreme hurricanes. But during the winter, when hurricane season is over, this aircrew gets assigned to our side of the country. On board the modified G5, NOAA scientists using high-tech equipment partner with the Center for Western Weather and Water Extremes on a mission called Atmospheric River Reconnaissance. Instead of chasing hurricanes in the Atlantic, they now fly directly into Pacific storms headed for the West Coast. Director of Research at CW3E, Luca De La Monache, is aboard this week's flight.
We are making measurements in a portion of the ocean where there isn't really any measurements.
This is very important because it allows us to significantly improve the accuracy of the predictions.
Over the Pacific Ocean, there are very few weather balloons, ships, or radar sites, so forecasters are essentially predicting a major storm with limited information. This plane fixes that.
The data we're collecting is over a data sparse area, so there's not much data over the Pacific Ocean. So the data we're collecting is filling in the gaps and helping improve forecasts.
Inside the aircraft, scientists deploy instruments that collect data every few feet through these atmospheric rivers moving towards the west coast.
This right here is a drop zone. It collects humidity, pressure, temperature, and the winds, and we're dropping 24 of these today. The importance of today's mission, we're collecting a lot of data that goes into real-time models that us as meteorologists use to forecast your Bay Area weather.
And it makes a measurable difference. Studies show that these reconnaissance flights can improve atmospheric river landfall and rainfall predictions by up to 20 to 30%, sometimes giving communities and water managers extra days of warning before flooding begins. Researchers say that climate change is increasing how much water these storms can carry, meaning stronger atmospheric rivers are becoming more likely.
What that means for California, that most likely in the next few decades we'll have more intense storms, more intense atmospheric rivers, and less frequent storms. But then that also means that we will alternate between very dry periods, long droughts, and wet periods, which will be a challenge for society to deal with.
And every winter, the hurricane hunters will now fly into them, not to study a hurricane, but to help California prepare for these challenges.
To better understand what's going to happen tomorrow, we need to know what's happening in the current moment, and that's why our data helps improve forecasts.
The aircraft will continue flying missions through the remainder of the winter storm season. Each flight helps refine rainfall forecast here in the Bay Area, sometimes by several inches, which can make the difference between a routine storm and a flood warning.
Coming up, how some grassroots warriors are changing lives in the East Bay, one meal at a time.
Where I used to live underneath the bridge in Solano, we go out there and feed the people now.
Never give up, baby.
About 2,000 unhoused people live in Contra Costa County. That's according to the latest point-in-time homeless count. For the last several years, 2 women have been working to build a life-changing community for the unsheltered at 2 Concord parks. Sharon Chin introduces us to this week's CBS News Bay Area Icon Award winners.
Dinner in the park, where people living on the streets can feel welcome, according to Kelly McKinley.
We just want people to come here, have a safe meal, feel seen.
The program found its roots in 2022 when Kelly helped give away excess fruit from a school that would otherwise go to waste.
So I came up with $10 meals, and I would feed 10 people, 10 to 12 people with $10.
She spread the word over social media, and before she knew it, she and volunteer Andy Altman started a nonprofit to serve the unhoused. They call it Grassroots Outreach Warriors, Grow Concord for short.
We just thought what we were doing was making people grow and evolve, and the community itself was also growing and evolving because of what we were doing.
It's a perfect salad.
Grow Concord has served more than 32,000 free meals since it started. That's 300 hot meals a week, 3 nights at Baldwin Park, 3 nights at Cowell Park. On this cold, windy day, volunteers offer nutritious homemade soup, salad, and sandwiches.
That's a 36.
They also give away donated clothing, basic supplies, and pet food. The nonprofit provides access to weekly showers and laundry and connects people to resources like Steps Towards Sober Living. Stacy Lestrange came to the dinners 2 years ago, feeling alone. Grow Concord became her family and launching Pad for Change.
I was that person back then, homeless, so it makes me feel really good helping out.
Today, Stacy has a job, a roof over her head, 2 years sobriety, and new purpose as a volunteer.
Where I used to live underneath the bridge in Solano, we go out there and feed the people now.
She credits Kelly, Andy, and their volunteer team for giving her hope.
They're good people. They have hearts. They have big hearts.
Kelly and Andy marvel at the testimonies of people they've helped reunite with their families and people who are off the streets and living clean and sober lives. They've learned their small acts of kindness can spark big changes.
It was to create a community of people that didn't have a community.
I just kept going, and it's just been a community labor of love.
So for providing food and support for the unhoused through Grow Concord, this week's CBS News Bay Area Icon Award goes to Kelly McKinley and Andy Altman.
Grow Concord relies on private donations. Volunteers come from churches, businesses, and schools. You can nominate a local hero for a CBS News Bay Area Icon Award at kpix.com/icon. Thanks for streaming CBS News Bay Area. I'm Kelsey Thorud. We will be right back with your First Alert forecast and a look at your top stories.